Hi everyone, welcome to the Principle of Cybersecurity course. In this lecture series, we are going to talk about the five nines concept, how it affect to the cybersecurity concept. So in this section, we are going to discuss the different objectives like high availability and the measures to improve the availability and incident response and the disaster discovery in a sequence way in the series of pattern. So in this we are going to talk about the high availability first. So before discussing these the objectives in this particular section, like organizations that want to maximize the availability of their systems and data may take extraordinary measures to minimize or eliminate data loss. The goal is to minimize the downtime of mission critical processes. If employees cannot perform their regular duties, the organization is in jeopardy of losing the revenue. So organizations measures availability by percentage of uptime. So in this chapter begins by explaining the concept of five nines. Many industries must maintain the highest availability standards because downtime might literally mean a difference between life and death. So, this lecture series discusses various approaches that organizations can take to help meet their availability goals. So, redundancy provides backup and includes extra component for computers or network systems to ensure the system remain available. Redundant components can include hardware such as disk drives, servers, switches, and routers, or software such as operating systems, applications, and databases. So this lecture series also discuss resilience, the ability of a server, network, or data center to recover quickly and continue operations. So organizations must be prepared to respond to an incident by establishing procedures that they follow often an event occurs. So, this lecture series concludes with a discussion of disaster recovery and planning, business continuity planning, which are both critical in maintaining availability to an organization resources. So, we'll see this one by one. So, before that, you know, we will try to discuss the five nines concept. So, in this five nines concept, what is five nine? So, if you see here, the last row of the table, you can find that 99.999 percentage. So, total you can find here is five nines are there. That's the meaning of the five nine high availability of these five nines. So, five nines means that the systems and services are available 99.999% of the time. It also means that both planned and unplanned downtime is less than 5.26 minutes per year, mostly the 5 minutes. So the chart in this figure that provides a comparison of the downtime for various availability percentages. High availability refers to a system or component that is continuously operational for a given length of time. To help ensure high availability, eliminate it requires it eliminates single point of failure, design for reliability, and detect failures as they occurs. So sustaining high availability at the standard of 5 nines, that is 99.999%, can increase cost and utilize many resources. The increased cost are due to the purchase of additional hardware such as servers and components. As an organization adds components, the result is an increase in configuration complexity. So, unfortunately, increased configuration complexity increase the risk factor. The more moving parts involved, the higher the likelihood of failed component. So we'll see the first one, the environments that requires 5 9. So although the cost of sustaining high availability may be too costly for some industries, several environments requires these 5 9s. One is the financial industry. So the financial industry needs to maintain high availability for continuous trading, compliances, and customer trust. So here you can click to read about the 4 hour outage on the New York Stock Exchange in 2015. This is one the effect of your environments that requires these 5 9s. Another one is the healthcare facilities. So healthcare facilities requires a high availability to provide around the clock care for patients. So that is another the requirement in this environment that requires this. So you can click here to read more about this average cost that incurred for this data center downtime in the healthcare industry system. That is also very important one. And the next environments that requires this 5 9 is the public safety industry. So the public safety industry includes agencies that provide security and services to a community or a state or a nation. So that is where its importance is there. So you can click here to get more information about the public safety. So the retail industry depends on the another environment, that is the retail industry. So that depends on uh, the efficient supply chains and the delivery of products to customers. So disruption can be devastating, especially during the very peak time or very peak demand time, such as the holidays and other things. So the public experts, the public expects that the news media industry that performs that performs the communication information and event as they happen. So the news cycle is now around the clock 24 by 7. So in these cases, for the high availability of these 5 9s, that is 99.99, that is depending upon these environments, and that requires these 5 9s. So we'll see the what are the different threats to this high availability. So, so the different threats to this high availability is, these are some of the following threats that poses a high risk to the data and information that is availability. So in this, there are many different types of threats to the high availability, but the threats can range from failure of a mission critical application to the severe storm such as the hurricane or random. So we can see the different threats that one is unauthorized user successfully penetrates and compromise an organization's primary database. Another one is a successful denial of service attack or DOS attack that significantly affects the operations on the target system. Another one, a target system or target, the network or target organization. And the another threat to this availability is the an organization that suffers a significant loss of confidential data. Another threat is a compromise of the admin and the root users. And a mission critical application goes down, the detection of a cross site script or illegal file server share, and a detection of defacement of an organization's website impacts the public relations. A server storm such as the hurricane or the tornado, or catastrophic events such as the terrorist attack or building a bombing or building fire, and long term utility or services that provide outage, water damage as the result of flooding or sprinkler failure. So categorizing the impact level of uh, each threat that helps an organization that realize the dollar impact of the threat. You just see in this particular diagram that the natural disaster, the human error, hardware failure, sabotage, software attacks, software error, theft, utility interruptions. So this particular diagram that gives the threat categories for an example of each different category here. So in this, if you see that the natural disaster, that the earthquakes, the hurricanes, and or tornadoes or floods and fires, whereas if you see that the human error, so in this threat category, employee makes inadvertent data entry errors that drops laptop or computers, whereas your hardware failure in this kind of threat category, the hard drive crashes, firewall or sometimes the firewall is misconfigured on the network on target side, and another one is sabotage. So the attackers installs the backdoor or worm that erases the files on the target system, whereas your software attack, like the viruses, worms, or denial of service attacks, that comes under the software attack category, threat category. And you find the software error threat category, like the software bug prevents program from properly loading. Another category is theft category. So laptops are equipments stolen from unlocked room. And whereas you find the utility interruption, that electrical power failure. So these are basically some of the categories, threat categories in the to make the systems highly available in the. So that's why the five nines are required. So we'll see this then. In this high availability, in the 5 9 concept, we try to designing the high availability systems. So in the high availability systems, The high availability incorporates three major principles to achieve the goal of uninterrupted access to data and services. One is single point of failure, system resiliency, and fault tolerance. So here you can see that in this designing this high availability system, the first one is for uninterrupted access to the data on the target system or the legitimate system. It eliminate or reduce of single point of failure, system resiliency, and fault tolerance. So it is important to understand what is this single point of failure. So in single point of failure, the point in a critical operation that cause the entire operation to fail, should it fail. Another one is the system resiliency. So the ability to maintain availability during disruptive events. And the third principle of your high availability is fault tolerance. So the fault tolerance enables a system to continue operating if one or more components fail. So these are three basic principles for high availability. So it is important to understand the ways to address a single point of failure. A single point of failure can include central router or switches, network services, and even highly skilled IT staff. The key is that a loss of the system or process or the person can have a very disruptive impact on the entire system. The key is to have processes, resources, and components that reduce single point of failure. High availability cluster, the high availability clusters is one way to provide redundancy. These clusters consist of a group of computers that have access to the same shared, stored, and have identical network configurations. All servers take part in processing a service simultaneously. From the outside, the server group looks like one device. If a server within the cluster fails, the other servers continue to process the same service as the failed device. Systems resiliency. The second one is this system resiliency refers to the capability to maintain availability of data and operational processing despite attacks or disrupting event. Generally, this requires redundant systems in terms of both power and processing, so that should one system fail, the other can take over operations without any break in service. System resiliency is more than hardening devices. It requires that both data and services be available even when under attack. And the third principle is the fault tolerance. The fault tolerance enables a system to continue to operate if one or more components fail. Data mirroring is one example of fault tolerance. Should a fault occur, causing disruption in a device such as a disk controller, The mirrored system provides the requested data with no operant interruption in services to the users. So this is the best beauty of these principles for the high availability, right? So with this, I would like to stop this discussion for this for in the 5 9 concept, the high availability, and what is the importance of the 5 9s for designing the high availability. Right? Thank you.